새해 복 많이 받으세요. 그리고 오랜만이죠? 안녕하세요 여러분, Nomadic Mada입니다. Hey guys, this is Nomadic Mada and Happy Sollar, which means Happy New Year. It's been a while, hasn't it? I think my last video was uploaded at the end of 2018. Which means it's been well over a year since I last posted anything. All throughout that time, I've had people, leaving comments here and there, or still subscribing, and even sometimes messaging me on Instagram to ask questions about coming to Korea, or K-pop, or something like that. Well, here's part of why I've been gone. Would you like to come up? Come on. Well, I was gonna introduce him later, but this is Keita. Right. Hello. And he is a big part of why I've been gone. So he's not the only animal I have. There's one more, Nugget. Do you want a nom-nom? Come here. Psst, psst, come here. Oh, come here. Come up here. Okay, you're in the way. Sit. You. This is Nugget. He's also part of why I've been gone. Okay, yep, why don't you go? Goodbye. Okay. Well, I guess that's my initial explanation right there. So we'll start with Nugget. In November of 2018, it was a kind of rainy, cold, nasty day, being November, and when I went out of my apartment complex, I heard a kitten crying. However, this little kitten was under a car that was in my parking complex, and I kind of initially tried to catch him, and he crawled up into the undercarriage of someone else's car. Now, I was really worried that this person would turn their car on in the morning and he could get burned up in the engine or something terrible could happen, so I really wanted to get him out. I called two friends of mine who lived in the area, and fortunately, they were able to come over and help me catch him. So I'll put a little video up here, maybe, when I first brought him home. Yeah, he was super, super cute. But he was itty bitty, teeny tiny, maybe 3 months old or so. And my initial plan was to find him a new home. However, a couple of months later when I went on vacation and he stayed with my friend who also found a kitten the same week I found Nugget, and they're about the same age, so they're like best friends. When he went to go stay with my friend, he was actually super distressed the whole time, clearly really upset to be out of his home and away from me. And even though I was gone for 3 weeks and he had his best friend there, he still never fully settled in. After that, I kind of realized that he was sort of my cat and I was stuck with him. So initially I was not going to name him because I didn't want a cat and I was not going to keep him. And I felt like naming him would only make me get more attached. So after I realized that he was gonna stay with me, I asked my friends on Instagram, and the whole time that I had had him without naming him, I kept referring to him as this little nugget or my little nugget because he was just this cute little nugget of adorable orange fluff. I had a lot of name suggestions, but multiple people suggested that I just call him Nugget. So now he's stuck with the name Nugget, and when I try to explain that to Koreans, they don't really understand what a nugget is, so I always have to refer to McDonald's chicken nuggets. My cat is not named after McDonald's chicken nuggets, but yeah, that's my cat. And then Keita, my dog. So also in 2018, I was volunteering at the public animal shelter here in my city, and the conditions were not great. They still aren't great, if we're being totally honest. But this amazing dog was there who was super adorable and super sweet and happy and so cute. And I always said to myself, man, if I could have a dog, he's the dog that I would want to have. But obviously dogs are a lot more work than cats, and that just wasn't something that I knew I had the time to take on in my life. So all that summer I went through volunteering, and unfortunately in the fall, kind of around when I got Nugget in 2018, the city decided to shut down all of the volunteering. Basically, the Koreans who used to come and volunteer there that worked with a lot of other private shelters and animal rights and like rescue groups would file official complaints to City Hall when they saw something happening that shouldn't have been happening. I can't really go too much into details with that, but long story short, the city got tired of dealing with the complaints, and so they just determined, you know what, forget it. no outside volunteers can come, paid city workers only, that's it. And they kind of shut down all access. So there were all these dogs that were stuck in the public shelter that no one knew about. So that was really disappointing and upsetting. Anyway, so fast forward to a couple of months later, in March of 2019. Now, at this point, I was just going throughout my day. I just come back from vacation, the vacation that Nugget was with my friend for. And when I was driving around the city, I saw this stray dog, and I picked it up because I had my car with me, and there's nowhere else really to take him, so I brought him to the shelter in hopes that they could scan him for a microchip and possibly find his owner. Now, at the same time, I asked the employees if I could maybe come in and say hello to some of the dogs that I used to, volunteer around. Normally, they do not let outsiders inside, but they were still kind of reorganizing things at this point. And the guys were nice enough to allow me back, and I got to say hi to Keita and confirmed that he was still there. So that was in March. Fast forward a little bit further to this summer, which is when, surprise, other big news, I'm moving back to America, and I'm gonna be leaving Korea after over 5.5 years, which is crazy, but we'll get to that. Let me finish this first. So after I made the decision that I was going to be moving home, I realized, I have the money. The least I could do is get one animal out of this horrible place and bring them to America and give them a good life. I made up my mind that if Keita was still there, I was going to get him and bring him home. So I went with my friend who I used to volunteer with, and thank God she came with me because the people at the shelter were extremely difficult to work with. They basically said that unless I had his ID number from the online listings, that they wouldn't bring him out for me to see him. Now, I knew this dog was there, but the whole time that I used to volunteer there, he was never in their online system, which is supposed to be a public registry that every time a dog comes into a shelter, they get photographed and put up on this website so that people who are browsing to adopt a dog can potentially adopt them. This was one of the big problems that the volunteers used to complain about, was that it was not very well organized and cataloged. But basically, there are a lot of dogs that either came into the shelter and never got uploaded, a lot of dogs who were currently in the shelter that when they either left or unfortunately passed away, they were never deleted off the website, and it's just extremely inconsistent. So some dogs on the site are actually at the shelter and can be adopted. Some of them aren't there anymore, and then some dogs that are actually at the shelter weren't even on the site. And I knew for a fact that this dog that I used to work with was not on the website, and we tried to explain this over and over. They were being extremely difficult with us, and like I said, fortunately I had a Korean friend there with me to back me up on this. And my saving grace was the fact that I had been there in March, and the guys who actually work in the kennel area recognized me, being a 6-foot-tall foreigner. So they actually confirmed to the woman that I had been there before, and they knew which dog I was talking about, which made me really excited because they said he was still at the shelter. Long story short, skipping all the sad stuff, I was able to get him and bring him home, and he has been with me since September 1st of 2019, which is great. And so now that I have this dog and I have had this cat, that's kind of been my life recently. I go to work and I do my job, and I've just been really enjoying working with the students that I work with. And then in my free time, I've been with my animals or hanging with my friends or traveling. So in terms of upcoming videos that I will have an update that kind of is a before and after comparison of the rhinoplasty that I had done. I also, in spring of 2019, got to travel all around Jeollanam-do and had a drone and got to go fly around and film a whole bunch of footage for the spring flower festivals in Korea. Maybe if you're in Korea or coming to Korea this year, you can check some of those out and get outside of just Seoul and Busan. And then, yeah, so why I'm leaving Korea? I feel like this decision has been a very long time in the making. I've been in Korea for 5.5 years now, and I originally came only planning to stay for 1. I just really lucked out in having a great school my first year and even better school my second year. And then my third, I wanted to move to Seoul, so I did that and checked that off my list. And then in my 4th year, I moved all the way back down to Suncheon, which is where I am now in Jeollanam-do, and have been able to enjoy kind of my favorite region of Korea for my last 2 years. It's been extremely rewarding, but I turn 30 soon. Don't tell anyone. But I'm turning 30 soon, and I feel like I kind of need to start making some decisions about what I want in life. Dating in Korea has been very frustrating, and I have been predominantly single for those 5 years. Not to say that I haven't dated a lot, and a lot of people, but I haven't really met anyone that I wanted to date seriously. And at some point, maybe I'd like to possibly get married or maybe have a kid. Teaching kindergarten made that seem like a really exciting prospect a couple years ago. So I kind of decided if I want to have the option to pursue that, staying in Korea will guarantee that it won't happen.
Also, I don't know how I forgot to say this, but I never planned on making a career out of teaching. Another huge reason why I'm moving back is to pursue a career related to my undergraduate degree. I'd like to be in a field with more opportunities for long-term growth, and I've kind of reached the limits of teaching in Korea.
So I'm going to be leaving Korea in April, which is going to be a huge move, but I feel like it's the right move at the right time. So I'm really excited to pursue some things back home. I'm excited to be around for my family. My grandparents' health is, that of grandparents as they get older. So I kind of want to be around to just spend time with my family and re-assimilate back into American culture, which I'm a bit apprehensive about. Watching the US from afar for the last couple of years has been interesting to say the least. In all 5.5 years that I've been here, I have never once been homesick. And every time that I've gone home to visit, I have had reverse culture shock of some sort. So it's gonna be interesting to be moving back. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to being able to share maybe some of my hometown as well as travel around America. I feel like we don't travel enough in our own home countries, so I'm hoping that if I do continue making content, I can bring some of that to you as well. But in the meantime, I have a ton of footage that I have filmed between my last video and now that I'm really excited about editing into videos for you. So without further ado, I'm gonna go edit. Thank you to everyone who has continued to subscribe and comment and reach out to me ever since I stopped making videos. I do see that. I pretty much read every comment, and if you've reached out to me, you know that I will reply if I can. I like taking the time to do that and interact with you guys. So I hope you continue to follow and watch this space for content, and maybe I'll get around to putting some stuff up because I have a lot of cool ideas and things that I filmed that I'm proud of that I would really like to share with you. So this is me giving myself a resolution for 2020 to get more of that content edited and out to you guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye! If you're wondering why my couch pattern is different, it's because my dog had diarrhea 3 days ago and shit all over it. Yeah, so the cream and pink floral couch is sadly no more.